The MAGA civil war heats up, tariffs, Elon Musk, and GOP backlash. The MAGA civil war is very much alive, and it's getting uglier by the day. Trump's tariff plan has sparked major angst, anxiety, and a growing backlash within the Republican caucus, both in the House and the Senate. And now, it looks like the drama has officially reached Elon Musk. Yes, Elon is publicly criticizing Donald Trump, and he's not holding back. His target, one of Trump's senior advisors, who's been defending this tariff strategy like it's economic gospel. But Elon seems to think otherwise. Maybe he's not just mad about the tariffs, maybe he's also still salty about being pushed out of Dogecoin influence. Just a theory, but it would explain the heat. We're going to get into all of that. But before we do, if you enjoy content that breaks down these political power struggles and holds the powerful accountable, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. It helps the channel more than you know, and it means a lot to me. Now, to really understand how disastrous these tariffs are and why they're causing so much chaos, even inside Trump's own movement, I want to start with someone who absolutely nailed it, Senator Chris Murphy, with a breakdown that lays it all out perfectly.
Senate right now is stunning in its scope. You are talking about a piece of legislation that has such deep cuts to Medicaid. This is the program that ensures 24% of American families. 1/4 of Americans get their health insurance from Medicaid. You don't know it as Medicaid because it's called something different in each state. In Connecticut, it's called Husky. In Wisconsin, it's called Badger Care. But in every state, about 1/4 of the population gets their insurance through a Medicaid-funded program. Most of those folks are working full-time. But for one reason or another, that's where they get their insurance. You're talking about kicking millions of people off of that program. And for what? For what? To rack up the biggest bill ever on the credit card of the middle class, an explosion in debt, but also to fund a tax cut for the fabulously wealthy. This is the 2017 tax cut, which is essentially going to be mirrored, we believe, by this tax cut. The top 1% of earners got tax cuts 852 times bigger than working families in America. We don't know the final shape of this tax cut, but it won't look fundamentally different from that. This is a really bad time to be a working mom or dad in America. This week, we are passing, apparently, a massive cut in health care benefits for working families in order to pad the pockets of the wealthy. But we are also dealing with the Trump tariff plan, which has been a Keystone Cop-like rollout that will ultimately raise prices for every single American. Tariffs can work as part of a coordinated, thoughtful approach to trying to rebuild American industry, but they only work when you partner those tariffs together with industrial policy incentives to help promote the industry that you are trying to punish when the products come from abroad. I'm not reflexively opposed to the use of tariffs, but this use of tariffs is bananas because it's not paired with any domestic industrial policy.
Trump's tariff plan isn't about policy. It's about power. Donald Trump's tariff plan? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Not economically, not strategically, and definitely not politically. But then again, it's not really about tariffs, is it? Let's be real. Whatever is left of Trump's economic brain isn't focused on global markets, fair trade, or helping American workers. It's about leverage, not for the country, for himself. Trump's goal is simple. Get CEOs, billionaires, and world leaders crawling to him, asking, "What can I offer you, Mr. President, in exchange for easing up those tariffs?" That's the entire game. It's not policy, it's pay-to-play power politics. Remember how tech moguls lined up to donate to his inauguration? It wasn't out of support. It was because they wanted to protect their bottom line. They knew Trump would happily make deals behind closed doors if it helped his own pocketbook. Now fast forward to 2025, and the same playbook is in motion. But here's the twist. Elon Musk isn't playing along. In fact, he's pushing back hard, making it clear he's no fan of Trump's tariffs. And that tension just spilled out into public view in a fiery post Elon dropped this week. Musk swipes at Navarro amid tariff turmoil. He ain't built anything. The tech CEO has lost billions as markets tanked and has been mostly silent on the president's tariffs. Elon Musk took an apparent swing at senior White House aide Peter Navarro, one of the chief cheerleaders of Donald Trump's tariff plan, amid market turmoil that has hammered Musk's holdings. Musk, a close advisor to the president, for now has been unusually quiet at the rollout of Trump's sweeping tariffs, as they've caused the markets to tumble in global trading patterns to retaliate in response. China hit the US with a reciprocal tariff of 34% on all US goods. Tesla shares, like much of the rest of the market, have fallen. Since Trump announced the tariffs in the early hours of Saturday morning, Moose took to his social media platform X to launch an apparent attack at the president's senior trade counselor, taking jabs at Navarro under a video in which he explains the Trump administration's logic in levying tariffs. A PhD in econ from Harvard is a bad thing, not a good thing, results in the ego brain over one problem, Musk wrote. Navarro earned a PhD in economics from Harvard in the 1980s. The Department of Government Efficiency head replied to another user's comment on the video, lauding Navarro's explanation, writing of The Economist, he ain't built anything. Elon's losing billions, and Trump's throwing a fit. So Elon's bleeding money, the market's tanking, and Donald Trump, he's not thrilled. Shocker. I saw this tweet today that honestly says it all. Every billionaire who showed up to Trump's inauguration. Together, they've lost about $500 billion in just the last few days. $500 billion. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not laughing because people are hurting. We're all being impacted. But these billionaires, this kind of loss is just a rounding error in their luxurious lives. If Jeff Bezos drops from $200 billion to $150 billion, nothing changes for him. But when the market crashes like this, it's millions of jobs that vanish. Real people get fired. Lives are shattered. We pay the price. Now here's the kicker. That same tweet did the math. If these billionaires had just paid Clay Harris's proposed wealth tax instead, the cost over 2 years would have been $36 billion. That's it. Chump change compared to what they just lost. And you've got to ask, are these guys even good at business anymore? They bet on Trump. They bet against Biden's economy, which, by the way, has driven one of the strongest stock market runs in modern American history. They wanted no part of the Biden-Harris policies, and now they're paying the price, literally. But you know who's really paying? United States. And that, right there, is exactly what Senator Chris Murphy broke down in the rest of this clip.
I don't actually know what it means to give billionaires another $50,000 in tax breaks. I really don't know what that means. I don't know what that life is like. I don't know what it's like to have 7 houses and 4 yachts. I don't know what a billionaire does with an extra $50,000. I can't actually explain that to you. I don't understand that kind of rapacious greed. What I do know is what happens to poor people, the people who live in my neighborhood on the south end of Hartford, when they lose their Medicaid. Linda lives in Sherman, Connecticut, a small town in western Connecticut. Following the economic downturn in 2008, Linda had trouble finding work. And that was tough for her because she's a cancer survivor. She had high healthcare expenses and she needed work. She was underemployed. She worked in plant nurseries and agriculture. Her husband at the same time lost his job as an auto mechanic. They lost their health care insurance. But then when the Affordable Care Act passed, Medicaid was expanded. More people were made eligible for Medicaid. And in 2010, she was able to sign up for Medicaid. She said, quote, I had so much anxiety all the time about how to pay for health care. We were going through all of our money, and we just thought this isn't right. People shouldn't have to worry about just being basically healthy. But once she got health care, she was able to restart her life. Linda went back to school because now she had health care. She got a new degree. She found a job teaching agriculture at a local high school. But that program didn't provide health care, so she still needed that Medicaid. Medicaid, she says, just provides such a baseline for society. It allowed me to maintain my health so that I was able to continue working. The Medicaid cuts that they are talking about will destroy Medicaid expansion. In fact, some states will automatically cancel the Medicaid expansion program when these cuts are made, meaning that people like Linda all across the country are going to lose their health care. For what? For a massive tax cut for the wealthy. Emily Grinelli is a worker at one of Connecticut's biggest behavioral health and substance abuse providers. So every day she's talking to people who rely on Medicaid so that they can get help for their mental health disorder or their substance abuse disorder. And let's be honest, we all have somebody in our life who has a serious mental illness or has struggled with substance abuse. So you know these people. She wrote me a letter talking about the fact that the conversations in their therapy groups in the last month have fundamentally changed. They're actually not doing therapy any longer for mental illness or for substance abuse. They are now doing therapy for the anxiety all these people have knowing they're about to lose their health insurance. One case manager told me, she writes, that she was working with a client to find housing, and the client now just wants to stop looking because she feels like there is no point because she's going to lose her Medicaid. Republicans are going to strip her Medicaid from her. She won't be able to get her medication and services. She feels hopeless. A clinician told me about an hour-long session she had the day before. 75% of it was focused on the client's fear of losing her benefits and what that would mean for her and all the other clients. She shared with me that if there was a way for her to leave the country right now, she would. At this provider, 35% of their clients would likely lose access to mental illness and substance abuse services if these cuts go through. What are we doing? Why are we doing this? Why are my colleagues choosing to destroy health care for millions of Americans in order to pass a tax cut that basically helps corporations and billionaires and millionaires? It is fundamentally immoral. And I have to believe, like in 2017, when Republicans were trying to destroy the Affordable Care Act, which insured 20 million Americans, that there are a handful of Republicans who know that this isn't right, who maybe aren't ready to stop it today. Tonight's vote isn't the final vote, but might be willing to stand up to this thievery before it's too late. The people of this country who are getting killed by higher prices that are coming because of the tariffs and are going to be hurt by these Medicaid cuts and are going to be furious when the rich become richer at their expense. They are counting on just a small handful of my Republican colleagues.
Tariffs, the perfect symbol of Trump's chaos. Trump's tariff plan, it's the full package. Chaotic, senseless, and soaked in corruption. In other words, the holy trinity of his administration. These tariffs don't protect American workers. They don't build a stronger economy. They're just another stage for Trump to perform on, to squeeze headlines, favors, and ego boosts out of CEOs, foreign leaders, and whoever else will kneel at the altar of his self-obsession. And that's exactly what we're going to keep calling out every single day right here on this show. So if you want to help keep the truth loud, clear, and unfiltered, hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and if you made it this far, drop a blue heart in the comments so I know you're riding with us till the end. Until next time, stay loud, stay sharp, and I'll see you soon.